What's up, guys? Welcome back to Founders Club. I'm Alex Lagos, and we got a treat for you today. Former championship-winning basketball coach Micheal Burt shares his transition from the basketball court to building a multi-million-dollar business coaching empire. Coach Burt breaks down how to activate your prey drive, the instinctual human ability to see a goal and pursue it with intensity. He unpacks the 5 key attributes of the top 1% of performers and the vital difference between confidence and remarkable boldness. Also, he touches on why finding your primary skill matters more than finding your why. From utilizing the whole person theory to overcoming local zoning laws to build his $8 million greatness factory, Coach Burt offers a masterclass in grit, resilience, and getting a seat at a bigger table. This one's got me fired up. It should fire you up too. Let's get into it.
All right, Coach Burt, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. For anyone who doesn't know who you are and what you do, who are you and what do you do?
Short bio, I was a women's basketball coach for 13 years of my life. That was my first career at a large high school in Tennessee called Riverdale High School.
Okay.
And what made me different was I was going over to the business world. I was deconstructing a lot of business methodology, and then I was bringing it back over to the athletic world and teaching my players. So I had a lot of leadership academies, success academies. I really called that inner engineering and building competitive intelligence in young people. And pretty soon we started to win a lot of games. People wanted to know what I was doing. So that prompted me to start writing books. And that was 23 books ago.
Wow.
So I started writing books about how we were winning, how we were building young people. That led me out to corporate America. Big companies started to hire me, Dale, State Farm, National Healthcare as a performance coach. And pretty soon I saw that was a much bigger opportunity for me. And after I won a championship, I retired at 31 years old. And for the last 20 years, I've been building a multi-million-dollar coaching company that is now spun into real estate, private equity funds, just all kinds of cool things.
Wow,
just a lot of fun.
There is so much there. And we're going to dig into everything that you're doing now. But from my cursory research, I understand that you were born to a mom who had you at 16 years old.
She did.
And that was really formative for you in terms of, from my understanding, having sort of a surrogate parent on the baseball field and really being told that you had this coaching gift from a young age. Can you say a bit more about that?
Yeah, my mom had me when she was really young. And so she was kind of putting herself through college. She went on to be a nurse. And when she was working multiple jobs, she would take me to the local baseball field. And I was raised by coaches a lot, specifically one female coach, which was a little odd. It was the only female coach coaching Little League Baseball. And her name was Mickey Vinson. And Mickey kind of tended to me, fed me, cared for me when my mom was working. And at 6 years old, Mickey said, when you grow up, you're going to be a great coach. Okay? And this was a theme that I heard throughout my entire childhood, through baseball and basketball. My coaches always said, you're going to be a great coach. So it was very natural for me to think this is what I'm supposed to do, right? Mm-hmm. They see something in me that maybe I don't see in me. And so I started coaching very early in life because of that. I call affirmation. They affirmed and validated that in me in so clear a way I began to see it in my own self.
Wow. What do you think it was that they saw in you?
There was probably an instinct to lead people. I think there was what I like to call prey drive, which is your instinct to pursue. You know, those are 2 words that I trademarked in humans. But it's kind of that instinct just to take charge, to move, to do something, to, teach the other players.
Yeah. How do you think that was connected to being raised by a young single mom who's putting herself through college? You're spending a lot of time alone. I would imagine there's a connection there between you having to kind of lead yourself and others.
And you may know this based on your work. I don't know if there's a positive correlation between single moms and great leaders, but you would be shocked how many people I coach that have gone on to do really, really big things. And when I tell my story, they come up and say, I was raised by a single mother. So I don't know if it was she talked to me as I was an adult. I don't know what the principle she instilled in me, because it was like, we don't whine, we don't complain, we don't make excuses, right? We dress up, we show up, we grow up, and we deliver. And so from a very early age, it was probably environmental scripting. She really scripted me that, hey, you're going to be somebody someday, you're going to do something. We act like somebody, we do something big. So that is a correlation, I think, when I look back over in my career.
Well, as someone raised by a single mom, I will say, yes, I agree with that.
So you would support my research,
right?
I
would support your research.
Yeah, and I would love to, listen, I would love to really look at that and see, because I wanted to write a book once in kind of tribute to my mother, that single moms make great leaders. Yeah. I haven't got around to it, but I have seen some correlations there. Now, obviously, some people that come from single parents go the other direction. Mm-hmm. So we'd have to really get into the research on what that says.
Well, I think what's interesting is, you can lead in a positive way and lead in a negative way, right? But anyone who's raised by a single mom probably spent a bit more time alone, especially if their single mom was having to work hours after school and whatnot, and they had to kind of figure out how to do it themselves rather than defer to authority. So you sort of gain those traits and can use them for better or worse.
That's right.
So it sounds like for you use them for better.
I think so.
And I think from my understanding, you took a team that was like really not doing well, I think hadn't won in 30 years or something like that, and then turned it into this national powerhouse that, won championship after championship. I mean, gosh, there's so much there, and probably so much that entrepreneurs listening can gain from when coaching their teams. So what do you think it was about either, the traits that you saw in the players, or the way that you brought them together, or the players that you selected to be on the team that allowed for that huge transformation?
Well, I was a deep disciple from 18 to 25 of Stephen Covey. Okay, so I got turned on to Stephen Covey by a very famous coach here in Nashville named Don Meyer, who was at David Lipscomb University. And so I started reading Covey early at 18. And that's not easy to read at 18, right? Not a lot of people are studying Stephen Covey at 18 years old. And this was, 30 years ago. So Covey was big on these 7 habits of highly effective people, but he was really big on what's called the whole person theory. And the whole person theory says that people are made up of 4 parts. They have a body. That's a physical. They have a mind that's mental. They have a heart that's emotional. They have a spirit that's spiritual, right? And each of these parts produce different dimensions, different intelligences, different capacities. And once I saw this whole person theory, I began to see that in athletics, what we're really doing is just focusing on one part of their nature. Mm-hmm. So we're only growing the body, which is skill, okay? And we weren't really developing the heart. We weren't developing the mind. We weren't developing the spirit or confidence in people. So I began to kind of build out my curriculum based on the whole person theory. And so I began to tap into the whole person. Now, this was very foreign in the late 90s and early 2000s. So other coaches thought I was from another planet. They're like, what's he doing? But they knew I was winning. So they kept going like, what is he doing? He's kicking our butts. And how is he kicking our butt? And I kept saying, man, I'm using the whole person theory. I'm coaching the whole person. So every player that played for me learned the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Wow. What did that specifically look like, that whole person theory, and being able to tap into each of those 4 categories?
Yeah, great question. So think of it this way, the body represents kind of skill and discipline. So in sports, it's very, you spend a lot of time practicing. Mm-hmm. So let's take a college, for example, because I've consulted a lot of top colleges. Vanderbilt was Vanderbilt. I think I did some work with a head coach from Kentucky, Ole Miss. And these people come to me because they were trying to figure out how to tap into the player at a deeper level, right? And I said, well, you gotta coach the whole person. So the body is very easy. It's skill development. It's practice. It's weightlifting. It's conditioning. It's footwork. But the mind is most people just teach like one intelligence, like basketball intelligence or sport intelligence. I was really getting into social intelligence, how to lead, leadership intelligence. Point guards had their own intelligence of how they ran a team. And so I was really growing them. So think every player learned the 7 habits. Every player learned good to great. Every player learned the 5 dysfunctions of teams, the power of intention. This is a lot to learn 14 years old. Okay,
oh my
14 to 18. So that's the mind. Then the heart is kind of passion. So we did Life After Basketball, where we hooked every player up with successful females in the community. Mm-hmm. We did just the coach-player relationship on how we cared about the players, how we tended to the players, and then the spirit's kind of just confidence. How do you build the internal confidence of a person?
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I'll let you take this next question one of 2 directions then. If for anyone listening who is an entrepreneur and either is leading a team or for themselves is thinking like, how can I apply this to myself? Can you give an example of how you would use that today with either a team member or for an entrepreneur listening?
Well, think about the whole person as that builds 4 pieces: knowledge for the mind, skills for the body, desire for the heart, confidence for the spirit. So when I'm coaching a person, I can see this person has a lot of drive, that's the heart, but they don't have a lot of skill, okay? They have a lot of skill, but they don't have a lot of confidence, okay? So when you can look at the whole person, you can say, man, this person's got a lot of knowledge, but they lack in skill. They got skill, but they don't have desire. They have a lot of desire, but they don't have confidence. So you can kind of know where to coach a person based on the whole person theory.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of do an audit and see, okay, where is this person lacking, and then go from there.
And if they have a lot of confidence but no skill, we call that arrogance.
Yes, totally. True. Lots of that out there.
Yeah.
And I think it was 31 you left, as you mentioned, right?
I did.
And it sounds like you were winning, right? Like this wasn't the case of where you're like, oh, like this career isn't really working for me. Got to go figure something else out.
Yeah.
So what was that like to walk away from a career while you were at the top of it and say, actually, I think I'm going to go coach business people or lay people, not athletes?
Well, it was a couple things that were happening at one time. I started coaching at 15 in junior pro basketball. I was a head coach at 18 in elementary school while I was going to college. Then I was at Riverdale High School at 19. I was a head coach at 22. I had been there for 9 years. So really there was a 16-year period. And those 13 years at Riverdale was very intense. So as a place that had never won a championship, I worked 80 hours a week, every week.
Wow.
7 days a week, every week. Okay. This was my whole life. I had no friends. I had no life. I had no anything. I was totally married to winning. Okay. I was obsessed with being the best. And so I don't look back on that and think, well, I regret that, because I was really building a skill that would become a very valuable skill in the world. Okay. But I was working 320 hours a month.
Yeah.
And at my peak, I was earning about $55,000 a year.
Wow.
Okay, so they couldn't give me any more money. Listen, they tried. This is a true story. The principal would say, meet me at the corner of Walgreens at 3 o'clock on Friday. And I'd be like, what are we doing? And he would pull up beside me and hand me an envelope. And it had cash in it. It would be like $3,000.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, thank you.
Gosh.
We don't want you to go anywhere. And, but I started, by this point, by 29 or 30, I had already written 4 books.
Mm-hmm.
I was already speaking at major companies. The companies were paying me more in an hour than I was making in a month. Okay? And I would go speak at Dell or State Farm, but this is back when those companies were really big, or a healthcare company. And at the end, if it was a privately held company, many times the owner, the founder, the CEO would say, what would it cost for you to coach our people? And I go, I don't know. I'm a basketball coach. I didn't even think about it. And I remember it like it was yesterday. A woman said to me, we'll pay you $144,000 to be our coach. And we want you to coach 1 week a month. And I was like, what? You're going to pay me $12,000 a month? Remember, I'm making
50 something.
Okay, I'm working. Because I've got several books on this now. One of the like I wrote, it's like book number 20 or 21, was called 8-Figure Skills Stuck in 6-Figure Vehicles. I was an 8-figure person stuck in a 5-figure vehicle.
Right.
Okay, then I wrote one called $1 Million Days, which is how you can generate $1 million in a day. Mm-hmm. This is foreign to me back then. Okay, but I was so much more talented than what they could compensate me. Yeah. So there was nothing they could do for me to stay. So when these opportunities came, I was like, I think it's time for me to go do something bigger.
Yeah.
And I've already won a championship. I've already built this into a powerhouse. The school went on to win 8 championships in the next 10 years. Oh. So I kind of built this foundation, and I was very satisfied that it was time for me to leave.
Yes.
Now, the other side of that is I was exhausted. Yeah. I was completely burned out. I had done everything you could do. I was like, what else is there to do, right?
Yeah.
I just keep winning championships, and I'm kind of over this. There's a bigger game for me to play.
Was that something you ever thought about before getting that opportunity? Or
No.
did it just come naturally?
Yeah. My life's trajectory was win a championship, go to college, be a major college coach. That's all I wanted to do. So when this opportunity came around, at 25 years old when I wrote the first book, I really only wrote it because so many people were asking me everywhere I went, what are you doing? How are you winning? And it was very hard to explain. Can you imagine me talking to other people going, I'm teaching the whole person theory, and I'm a deep disciple of Stephen Covey. They really thought I was from another planet, okay? Yeah. And they looked at me like, he's crazy. This dude's crazy. And so I just wrote the books to explain the methodology. And then 1 turned into 2, and 2 turned into 3. And a guy came to my office one day, and he had a notepad like this, and he drew up a library. And he said, you should think about writing books like a library. Like, what are all the books you want to write? And I said, well, I want to write one on personal development. I want to write one on teams. I want to write one on culture. I want to write one on winning, right? Now most of my books are on business, skill, problem, vehicle. You with me? I've got a new one out called Screw Your Why, which is kind of a contrarian to finding your why, and I can explain that if you'd like for me to. But now a lot of my work is on helping people find their primary skill. right? And my skill was the skill of activation. And once I knew that skill, I'm like, whoa, like I'm like a kid in the candy shop. Like I could do a lot of things with this skill, right? Companies could hire me. I could coach individuals. I could raise capital. I could build businesses. I could buy real estate. Like it was like I got really unlocked one day, and I'm like, man, I could do this. I could play such a bigger game.
I have so many questions, especially we'll definitely get into the screw your why and finding your skill in this age of AI where so many jobs are going to be obsolete.
Absolutely.
But something I was struck by is how you had this confidence, right? To make this leap. You're making $55,000 a year, right?
Yep.
Like you've coached for 13 years, 14 years, something around that realm.
Yep.
And then you get approached to be like, hey, come coach our team. And these are people who are probably making 3 times as much as you are in many cases, right?
Yep.
People who have many years of business experience. And this is something, I mean, it's been a journey for me with my own imposter syndrome in working with very high functioning, successful entrepreneurs and CEOs and C-level executives and whatnot.
Yep.
And I think for a lot of people listening, especially those of us in the coaching world or who think, hey, how can I translate this skill that I have to a completely different audience?
Yep.
You may not recall exactly what your mentality was at the time, but what do you think it was that allowed you to take that leap and be like, I can do this, even though it's so foreign to me and I'm not an expert in the actual kind of content of what these people do?
Well, I wasn't an expert at that time in building a business. I was being hired by typically mostly successful privately held companies, founder-led. They recognized that I knew how to motivate people. I started my coaching company in the spring of 2008, and we were in a national recession in the U.S. in the spring of 2008, specifically in real estate, mortgage, all of those industries. So I would go speak many times for free, just like I did at Soho when you guys saw me that day. And I would speak for free, and I would just get up there and coach. But I had a real method. It wasn't just like pop-up psychology or feel good. It was motivation. It was really like, this dude knows how to win, right? And the way I package concepts is kind of part of my unique ability, is the packaging of intellectual property. And the way I deliver it in like a cadence and a rhythm has a lot to do with my coaching, all those years of coaching people, being in a locker room. So very successful entrepreneurs who were typically worth $50 to $100 million or 200, they would go, we need him. That's really what they would say. And they would say, come see me tomorrow. So imagine when you guys saw me speak, or if you were there that day, there's somebody in that room who's a successful business guy or businesswoman who goes, we need what he has. And so I would go see them the next day, and they would say, I want you to coach my people. We're low on motivation. We're losing money like crazy. We're in a national recession. Everybody's depressed, right? Including these founders, because their net worth was plummeting. They didn't know what to do. And they're like, I need you to help me. So at this moment, now I'm like part life coach because they're depressed. Yeah. I'm part business coach. I'm part sales coach because they needed sales. And so I very quickly got thrown into this deep end of like, figure this out. And I remember my first assignments, like outside of the person that was going to pay me $144,000 was a big home builder. And he was wild. I mean, just he had a lot going on, okay? But brilliant. He was brilliant, but wild. And he said, I need you to start tomorrow coaching me and my people. And he said, how much is it going to cost me? And I had no idea what to say. And I go, $125,000. I don't even know where this came from. Yeah. I had no method, no package. Like today, if you go to my website, I got all these packages. And if you see Jana, my integrator, it's like I got a vision and she puts it real. And I got all these packages and it's all packaged up so beautifully. But in those days, it was like, it's $125,000. Yeah. And he was like, let's start at 120 and get started tomorrow. And I would just sign that one. Then I would do a great job with him because I do know how to activate people. I do know how to keep people in a forward position. I do know how to teach heart optimism and positive expectancy and a lot of things, right? I do have those skills. So I would take over this team, and there's no way they're not going to get better because I'm coaching them.
Right.
Every day, every week. There's accountability, there's structure, there's focus. And so I would do a great job, and then he would go tell his buddies. And the next thing you know, I got the biggest home builder in North Carolina. And they would tell the title companies and the mortgage companies. And it's like I went from zero to like $1 million fast.
Wow.
And remember, I was over here making $55,000. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm rich. This is crazy. And that's kind of how my coaching business started. And it just has evolved over the years into a lot of other things.
in that evolution, and just going back to what you said earlier about realizing you were sort of a workaholic, right?
Yeah,
like for lack of a better term. And then being like, I'm exhausted, I'm burnt out. I have to leave this and take space. I would imagine you would still be vulnerable to that with all of these opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious, I mean, I still want to hear so much more of your story from sort of then to now, but how do you relate now to work? Like, are you able to set boundaries, and are you able to take space for yourself, or do you still find yourself being vulnerable to like, oh, well, may as well take that next, $1 million contract?
Yeah, I think most people would probably consider me somewhat of a workaholic. I get a lot of purpose from work. I do think work can be the distribution channel for your talents. Mm-hmm. It's more mission driven for me, right? Not just monetarily, like how much money can we make? It's more like, okay, I was put on earth to coach people. That's what I do, right? Yeah. But along the way, I started getting a lot of coaching myself, okay? And one of the programs I was in was called Strategic Coach. And that program teaches you how to generate more by working less, which is foreign to me. Yeah. And he wanted us to take free days. And I was like, what's he talking about, free days? And so he had a system. And the system was we rest, we practice, and we perform, like an artist, like an athlete. We rest, and we're off, okay? Like for me, Saturdays are typically off, right? Mm-hmm. And then we practice, which are strategy. Well, a lot of my stuff is creativity. So I'm very creative. I create books and concepts and ideas, and I have days where I just do that, right? And then there's performance days where I'm on stage, where I'm speaking, and I still speak a lot. I still coach a lot. And so I really treat myself like an athlete. Yeah. I rest, I practice, and I perform. And that avoids the burnout.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, what do you feel like is so powerful in the rest days when you're an athlete or, in business as well? Do you feel like, you saw a big change for yourself and maybe people you're also coaching with that? Because I'm sure in the beginning, you said you weren't taking those rest days. So how did, that transform, your life?
I think it's very hard to play at a peak level. Mm-hmm. If you really study athletes, they really value rest. If you study artists, they don't sing every night. Yeah. They can't go at that pace for that long, right? If you really treat yourself like that, it's like, okay, I need to peak up. And when I'm, I think tomorrow I'm speaking in Dallas, Texas, and these people pay a lot of money for me to come in and speak, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like I want it to be transformational. Yeah. So to do that, that's the only thing that really needs to be on my schedule tomorrow. I'm going to travel and I'm going to speak. And when I'm done, I'll be exhausted. Like, that's how much I put into it. It's almost like the coach in me. Like, people are like, can an hour take that out of you? And I'm like, if you do it the way I do it, an hour will take it out of you.
When you first started giving yourself permission to take that rest, was there any discomfort in it? Like, was it kind of like, ooh, like this feels unproductive, or it's foreign to me to actually just have this space with myself that I've never really been with? What was it like?
I think the way I did it at first, I would just work myself to death, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm sick of people, and I need a day off, and I don't want to talk to people or be on stage, but then it's like, no, for longevity and to be great, I really need to rest, and it was foreign to me in the beginning because I'm kind of wired to work first, and I still probably work a lot more than other people, and I take calls and I put deals together, and I don't know if that'll ever go away, So what I started doing was a modified schedule in the beginning. He would be like, take a full day off on Saturday. And I'd be like, well, I read. That's one of my hobbies is I like reading. And I like reading business books. And he would be like, do you think about your business? And I go, yes. And he said, that's not an off day. That's a work day. And I said, well, what if my best friends come over and we barbecue? Yeah. And he said, do you guys talk about business? And I go, yeah, it's the main thing we talk about. And he's like, well, it's not an off day. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? But there are, I think as you age, there are things you want to do. Yeah. Like I love listening to live music. And there was a period of time that I was so busy I never got to do that, which is bad in Nashville, And now I live downtown some, and it's like if I just want to go down and listen to music, that's fun to me. Yeah. And I'm a creative, so I can just take my notebook. I know this is weird to go to a bar and take your notebook, but going down there and just taking notes and listening to artists and thinking, to me, that's like one of the coolest things about Nashville.
That's so cool. I wish we had more people out there taking notes in their notebooks.
There's very or like just during the like I go to a concert. I will literally go to a concert and pull out a notebook and be taking notes, and people will be like, what is he doing? And it's like, I'm really watching and studying how they connect to an audience. Because some of the artists are so good at connection. And I'm trying to do that when I'm speaking. It's like, how do I connect to this audience? And I did that in Vegas once. I went to a concert by myself, and I'm sitting there with notes. And of course, everybody around me is drinking and having fun. And they're like, what is this guy doing? I'm like, having fun. This is good.
That's beautiful.
It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
We need people studying that human experience, right? So let's talk about the Pray Drive, because that is something that you have trademarked and you're known for.
Yep.
Help us understand what the Pray Drive is.
Pray Drive is an interesting 2 words. I didn't learn those 2 words until I was 41 years old. Prey drive in an animal is an animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey, okay? And so think about a dog that's pursuing something. It's really prevalent in a dog, okay? And so when I heard this, I go, this is interesting to me. When you write books like I do, it's like a songwriter that's looking for a hook. And when I hear something that's interesting, it's not deja vu, it's vujade, right? And vujade is like a fresh twist on an old way of something. And I heard that, and I'm like, now that's interesting. So I Google it. What is prey drive? Instinct to pursue. And it said stalk, capture, and kill prey. And I go, I could do something with that. So I stepped out of the conference. I called my intellectual property attorney, because I trademark a lot of things. Okay, and I go, I want to trademark this in humans. And so we trademarked it. And then I started to build a motivational theory around it. Now, so if you study motivational theories, when I wrote that book, there were about 20 major theories. I deconstructed those theories, so I'm kind of nerdy that way. I'll just put them all out there, and I'll deconstruct the theories, and then I codify the theories. And then I go, I really want to come out with my own theory of motivation based on 30 years of me coaching people, okay? So that is what prey drive is your instinct to pursue. So in a human, it's your instinctual ability to see something with your eyes or in your mind, in your imagination, and to have the persistence and the intensity to pursue it. Okay, so I see it. Like today I was looking at these condos at Prime, and Tony Giarratana is the great developer in Nashville, and he was showing me what he's doing at Paramount and all these buildings, and like you walk in it like, I want this. Like, this is beautiful, right? It's got panoramic views, and you're looking at Nashville. Well, when you see that, your instinct is like, how do I get this, right? Well, to get it, you got to go out and work, and you got to produce money, and you got it, right? So prey drive is your instinct to see something and to pursue it. Now, could be a goal, could be a dream, could be a strategic partnership. It could be something that you're interested in, right? And so then I said, that is the definition of prey drive, but then there's phases to this drive. Activation, persistence, intensity, right? Those are like theories of motivation. Then I get into what activates this drive. How do you flip the switch in a person? And my publisher would not let me call it Prey Drive the book, and I fought them for 8 months. And finally, my agent, who's in New York City, he said, you're not going to win this battle. And so he looked at me and he said, what happens when this prey drive is activated? And I said, it's almost as if you flip a switch in a person. And that's what we called the book. And thank goodness, with the help of Rory Vaden, we made it a Wall Street Journal bestseller, which was my first Wall Street Journal bestseller. And it was a cool experience. But I became really known for those 2 words.
Yes, no, it's incredible. And I think for so many entrepreneurs listening, they're thinking like, I have the prey drive, but I just don't know how to act on it, right? Like, I can't tell you how often I experience as a therapist and executive coach who works with entrepreneurs that people, I'm the visionary, right? Like, I have a vision, I just cannot execute. And whether it's perfectionism or ADHD or underconfidence or all of these sorts of things that, of course, through my clinical lens, I'm going to perceive them differently or conceptualize them differently. But I'm wondering for you, when you're coaching your clients and they're like, I know what I want. Like, I see the thing that I know that I want, but there's something getting in the way. What do you see sort of gets in the way of people being able to activate, if that's the right term? How would you suggest people circumvent that?
It's a great question. And you and I could go back and forth with your background, because if I had one big regret, it's when I furthered my education, I went more toward leadership and management. And I really wish I would have went more towards psychology, because
there's still time.
But I know, and I work with a lot of great psychologists, and they're like, you have more practical psychology than most people do in their lifetime, and I get that. But so what keeps a person? So if we drew a line and we said, I'm at A, this is a popular concept that I teach, and A is my current position, and everything I do not like about my current position, and B is where I would like to be. If I woke up tomorrow and life was as close to perfect as it could be, what would B look like? Well, most people have no idea. They've never chosen an aiming point to direct their energy to or their talents to. They don't know what problem they would like to solve. They don't know what their primary skill is, right? So a big problem for most people is if I said, Megan, what's your primary skill? Yeah, it may be like, gosh, what is my primary skill? Like, I don't know. I've never really thought about that. This is what most people say.
Yeah.
I'm talking, I've coached people worth $100 million who can't tell me.
Yeah.
No, it's not taught in school, right? I went to college for 9 years, and there was never a course in finding my primary skill. So people don't really have an intimacy with their primary skill. They don't know what problem they are uniquely qualified to solve. Okay, that's the first two problems I see. Then they don't know which vehicle being their work, right? Like you chose the work you went into. Well, you may wake up at one point and go, why did I do that? Why did I choose this, right? Like I woke up one day and said, why did I choose this work? Like being a basketball coach, like I could have done all these things. So it's like there's a lot of what I call opportunity confusion, number one. People are not clear in their B goals. Then for some reason, they kind of lack either remarkable boldness, right? Because confidence kind of converts to boldness for top people. They may lack intrinsic motivation to see something through. They may lack the connection skills that they need to maneuver their way toward this goal, or they may lack the ability to lock in and see something through to its conclusion, or grit and resilience. If we looked at the top 5 habits or attributes of the top 1% of performers, those, what I just gave you is what it is.
Great. Can we cover those one more time?
Yeah.
So we've got opportunity confusion.
Yeah, so for problem number 1, think of it like this, is if you do the exercise A to B every day, and you really get clear in where you want to go. If you look at the way I mental map things, you would see me just mental map over and over. I'm trying to get to A to B to show you. You would see me do, right? Like I'm at A and I'm trying to get to B. And I want to get real clear in what B is, right? Like this is my aiming point. Like this is where I'm driving all of my energy towards. So that is a problem. I call that problem opportunity confusion.
Perfect. Let's stay there for a moment.
Yes.
How do people solve that problem? Like, are there questions when asked themselves? Are there exercises to go through?
Yes. So they could read my book A to B, which is a small book but very impactful. But a B goal is highly enjoyable, it's highly profitable, it's highly meaningful. There's a return on my energy. There's a return on my investment. There's a return on my objectives. Okay. Now, by doing the exercise over and over and over, you're not only programming the subconscious mind, you're also telling it what you want. You're telling your brain, this is what I want, okay? But you got to get clear. So then we could get into how do you find your primary skill, right? Which is a lot of exercises to how do we even find this skill. What turned me onto this was when Covey wrote The 8th Habit, How to Find Your Voice and Inspire Other People to Find Their Voice. It's like, how do you find your skill, right? Or the book Unique Ability, thought was valuable. My book, 8-Figure Skills Stuck in 6-Figure Vehicles. So there's all these exercises you can do to find the skill, find the problem, and then it's like, what's the vehicle?
Right.
Okay. So first problem, opportunity confusion.
Yes.
Secondary problems, I would say, are these 5 things that are really the top attributes of the top 1%. So remarkable boldness.
Okay, let's describe each of them as you go through
So,
them. So remarkable boldness, what does that look like?
Striking fearlessness.
Striking fearlessness.
Psychological flexibility. The ability to work towards something and not know how it's going to work, right? Be flexible, not fixed in your thoughts. And say, I'm going to go build a greatness factory. I've never built a greatness factory before. I've never built an $8 million building before, but I can do it, right? And I'm going to just take one step and I'm going to go do it. So remarkable boldness is striking fearlessness. That's different than confidence.
Okay.
I think,
how is it different than confidence?
I think confidence is the memory of success. Maybe an internal knowing that you can create. The top 1%, though, like the 2 guys I just came from a meeting with, the guy who built the 505, he doesn't have confidence. He has boldness. Right?
Yeah. So I guess what I'm hearing the difference is that confidence comes from experience, proving to yourself that you can do it. Boldness is this sort of perhaps, I mean, I don't want to use the word confidence because that's what we're comparing it to, but it's this sort of belief perhaps in yourself that you can do something even if you haven't proven it to yourself
That's
before.
right. Yeah. There is maybe no demonstrated capacity that you've actually had. You just have kind of taken this mindset that it's going to be a fight, but I'm going to find a way to win.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like where my mind goes as a therapist when you offer that is these people, I would imagine, have a good relationship to themselves where there's room for failure. And it doesn't mean they want to fail, but they know that that is an opportunity for growth and they're not crippled by shame when that happens. And they're able to be like, hey, like, I think I can do this. I'm going to take a shot. And if I fail, I'm going to be resilient and bounce back from it.
That's right. They never lose. They only learn.
Yeah. I love that.
They don't even failure doesn't even. It's like it's okay. It's what it is.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yes, I love that.
It is what it is. So what now? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is really the difference.
Yes.
Okay. So when you say what keeps a person from going from A to B, it's that they may not have the basic confidence, but they don't really believe they can do it. And I mean, I've seen people say that 80% of people don't believe they can do it. They'll buy my books. They'll go, I'd love to go do it, but they have some type of inferiority that they just do not believe they can do it. 20% of people think they can do it without the help of another person. Yes. They have superiority complex. So then you've got remarkable boldness. Then you've got intrinsic motivation, okay, which is different than extrinsic. And I always say intrinsic is like steam in the engine. Yeah. Like when you ask me about my mom, there's something about the way I was raised that put a chip on my shoulder, right? It's like I don't know where it came from. I don't know why I got it, but it's like factory installed.
Yeah, that's part of you.
I always say batteries included, okay? And it's like I'm going to find a way to win.
Yeah.
And there's something about, this is where my theory around finding your why comes in, is I think I can know my purpose and not be motivated today to do that purpose, which is why I need to find my because goals. Okay, there's a little nuance there when I write this book that I think will be interesting. A because goal is like I want to be a good dad to my kids because I didn't have a great dad. Yeah. See that? It's intrinsic.
Yes.
That helps me fight through my feelings when I'm tired. Okay, so intrinsic motivation to me is like steam in the engine. Like why is this guy I was just with, who's built every major building in Nashville at 69 years old, want to do it bigger and better every freaking time? He don't need the money. He's a billionaire. Yeah. But he's still got that competitive drive. Yeah. That's intrinsic.
And we see time and time again with entrepreneurs, they need that intrinsic motivation because like being motivated purely by extrinsic things like money or fame or notoriety or prestige, like those things are fleeting. And so the moment, the company isn't as profitable as it was last year, it's like, why do I keep doing this, right? Yep. Whereas with the intrinsic motivation, it's enduring. It's like, that's not going anywhere. That's part of you that's wired in.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing.
Sometimes I call them purpose tokens. It's almost like you do something, it spits out a little purpose token. It's like a little hit of purpose. So intrinsic motivation. Then you've got connection. Top 1% people are really very good at connection. They work hard at connection. And this is very consistent with all the top performers I coach. It's like they work hard at connecting to people, right? And I think that's something you got to work at. Yeah. Number 4, ability to lock in and see something through to its conclusion. I lock in and I go, if it takes me 8 years, it almost kills me, I'm doing this, right? And then number 5 is grit and resilience, right? Just if you want to study the work of Duckworth or what is grit, if it's passion and perseverance, these are what the top players have. So if I can't get from A to B in my world of coaching, you may say this is what people lack. In my world of coaching, it's like they don't have one of these 5 things, man.
Yeah. I mean, just tapping into each of those last ones that you mentioned. So connection, you said that you believe that's something people need to work on, right? Some of us may be born more empathetic or intuitive or extroverted, and some of us have to learn those skills. And I'm curious if you have any advice for people listening, practices, tools to be able to connect better.
Yeah, I was coached for 6 months by a guy named Dave Blanchard, and it was almost all on connection. I thought I was good at connection until I got coached on connection, and I'm like, I'm not very good at this. Yeah. And it's really just being observant. It's going an extra step. It's watching people and seeing, hey, I notice you're not on your A game today. Is everything okay? Or when they tell you, you could say, tell me more about that. Or I spend a lot of my time on the phone texting people, voice texting people. Every 30 days, I try to touch our clients as best I can, and just with a little connection touch, like, hey, I haven't seen you. Is everything going okay? So I think when I think of connection, I think of that, right? And it could include being empathic. It could include all the things that you're talking about. But it's like I'm watching this guy, this billionaire. Instead of just spending a few minutes with me, he spends an hour with me. And he walks me through these units himself, not a salesperson. And it's like he's just got it, man.
Yeah, just leaving people feeling like you care about them. It sounds like they matter.
Yeah, like Wallace D. Wattles, that's a hard name to say, called it the impression of increase. Mm-hmm. It's like you leave people thinking, I can go do bigger things, man.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that's a very important thing to put off to the world, right? A signal, a frequency to emit to the world. It's like, man, I want to make your life better.
Yeah. Sounds like it really empowers people too, which
It
obviously
does.
is so core to coaching.
Yeah.
So next one, lock in and pursue.
Lock in and see something through to its conclusion.
Okay.
So, I always tell people it took me 8 years, $8 million to build the greatness factory of Nashville, and I failed 4 times. I had a lot of heartache trying to build this thing. Bought land, couldn't build, spent a bunch of money to design it. Then the city I was going to put it in wouldn't approve it because they said it was too modern. This was back in 2016. And I joked with them. I said, I'm not building a complacency factory.
Yeah.
I want it to be different. I want it to be, like Walt Disney said, I want it to be different, better, and magical.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to build something that's different, better, and magical. Well, I tried to build it, and the city I was in said, it's too modern. We need you to make it look like the other buildings. So then I had a lot and the plans, but no building. So then I got discouraged, and I came to Nashville. Then I took over the first the building down. I can't think of the name of it, but it's beautiful down on the water. Mm-hmm. And I had the whole 9th floor, and it was beautiful. And I had windows, and I did one event, and they kicked me out of the building. The landlord said, "You got too much energy." And the other tenants,
I've been told that since I moved here too.
The other tenants don't like you.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it wasn't like a discussion. It wasn't like, who are you? What are you trying to do? How can we help you? It was like, we don't want you here.
Yeah.
Now I have all the furniture. Okay. And I'm like, okay, here's number 2. Then I try to do it. Like I tried to do this multiple times, and I just couldn't get it right until I finally did it in the 505, which is the perfect place for it.
Yeah.
And that is the ability to lock in.
Yeah. And I imagine that intrinsic motivation helped you.
It all helped. The connection skills, who do I need to connect to? Who can help me? The grit and resilience, right? To see it through to its conclusion. So to me, it's like when I show those top 5 habits, and I'll teach this in Texas tomorrow, it's like, here are the top 5 attributes. I don't really think they're habits. I think they're more attributes of the top 1% of performers. You could put this across any industry. Now you tell me what you think you're missing. Mm-hmm. And people go, gosh, I don't have boldness. I don't have this intrinsic motivation he's talking about. The everyday person struggles with basic motivation. Okay?
Absolutely.
And sometimes I'm up here in self-actualization and they're down here in food and water. Okay, and shelter. And I get it. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get you up here.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm just trying to make it through the day. And I got drama and I got issues and I got these problems. And I'm like, no. This is where we're trying to get to. Let's stay focused on this. This is where the big boys and the big girls play, right? This is little compared to where we're trying to get to, right?
Yeah.
But this is where the world lives. Right? And so what my coaching is like, let's get a seat at a bigger table. Let's think bigger.
That's where you help them see the vision, it sounds like. Yes. Well, you teased the Greatness Factory there, and we have lots of questions about that. But before we go there, you also mentioned grit and resilience, and I don't want to gloss over that because those are qualities or attributes that so many of us wish we had more of, right? And maybe feel shame around not having them. I'm too soft, or I don't have the discipline, or I'm too lazy. And so what do you offer for anyone listening who might believe that they don't have the grit and resilience to be able to succeed in the ways that you have?
Well, I think when I think about if we gave I think it was Duckworth that gave the definition of grit and resilience of a combination of passion and perseverance. Okay. One definition of passion that nobody wants to talk about is to suffer. Mm-hmm. Okay, it doesn't just mean like let's put 2 definitions. Passion, irresistible belief for motive or action. Let's put over here to suffer. Now, how many people want to sign up for this? Right? So grit and resilience is I am willing to subordinate what I want today for what I want eventually. Right? And very few people can do this. So what can we do for those people? Give them a structure. Mm-hmm. So in my coaching program, I send out a message every morning at 7:15 to 600 plus people. It goes directly to their phone. It's not AI. It's me. Okay? And I am sending them a message to get them started to activate that drive every day. And you'd be shocked how many people listen to that message and go, boom, that's what I needed.
This is a voice message you send them?
Yeah, I use an app called Community. Yeah. And I can send it out to all my people. Wow. So all my coaching students hear from me every morning, and then they go straight to an online academy that's in an app, all my courses, and I want them watching that every day. I want to have positive expectancy. I want hard optimism. I want them picking the course. Hey, I need pray drive. Let's watch him on pray drive. I need follow-up. Let's watch him on follow-up.
Yeah.
Then I want them coming to their classes. And I typically coach 3 to 5 times a month at the Greatness Factory.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it sounds like, just to summarize that last piece, the grit and resilience really is about welcoming the suffering, right?
Yep.
Or being able to see the purpose in the suffering. And, as we say in my work, like going toward the discomfort, the cure for pain is in the pain, as Renee says, right? So kind of really embracing that and recognizing like, this is going to be worth it, right? So speaking of the Greatness Factory, tell us about that. What is it?
So the Greatness Factory is the ultimate structure of exchange. It's a $8 million complex. It has a lounge, private offices. Then it kind of has Disneyland for business adults. On level 3, it's got a 109-person state-of-the-art theater for events. It's got a cool room called the Money Lab. It's got the Dream Foundry, and then it's got this podcast studio where people do their podcasts.
Amazing.
So it's a commercial structure that's kind of like the Ritz-Carlton of business clubs. So, you guys may be at the Soho, right? That's a club. That's got a little bit different vibe than what the Greatness Factory would have. So the Greatness Factory would have business owners and leaders, but I probably coach a lot of mature business owners who are successful, who would like to go to another level of success. So there we raise capital, we do events, there's monthly activation. One of our biggest concepts is called Whiskey and Wisdom. And I bring in really talented people. I interview them. So we have a country music artist, and then we let them mingle, and then we send them up to the theater, and there's an educational component. So think of it like edutainment.
I love that.
And so it's a club. People from all over the United States come in, literally. So it's not just Nashville people.
Wow.
Literally, people fly in every month from California, New York City, and Florida, and wherever. And I'm building this really interesting group of people who just want a seat at a bigger table. Okay, so the content pulls them in. The space is beautiful. I spent about $3 million building it out, so it's immaculate. And it's like just the coolest place. When you walk in the doors at the Greatness Factory, it's like, I'm here to do business. I'm here to win. It's just such a place of positive expectancy.
Yeah, it sounds like it's an opportunity for people to not only connect, but be motivated together as a group.
There's no way you can go to the Greatness Factory, and in my opinion, we don't have bad attitudes at the Greatness Factory. It's the craziest thing. We don't have bad attitudes. We don't have a lot of low-frequency people. We don't have a lot of drama. We literally have people who show up and go, I want you to win, and I want to win, and let's all win together, and Coach Burt's my coach.
Motivating each
And then I'm
other.
bringing in all these other people who are super thought leaders. I just had the great psychologist Price Pritchett, who wrote U Squared, the Quantum Leap Strategy. He was a clinical psychologist that got into mergers and acquisitions.
Oh.
He's kind of one of my kind of personal heroes, and I studied under him last year, and so and he's 83.
Wow.
And I brought him to the Greatness Factory for an evening on how to have quantum leaps, and it was a packed house. It was a lot of fun.
Incredible. Sounds like the most exclusive club in the world.
It is, but we're still taking people.
Yes. Yes,
We still want people in there.
So before we wrap, Coach
Yeah.
Burt, this has been incredible. Is there anything else you want to share, like that just feels burning in terms of advice for entrepreneurs from your own story? Anything that you just want to get out there that you think is really important for people to hear?
I do believe everybody needs a great coach in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what kind of business deals I do today, or get involved in real estate deals or licensing of these Greatness Factories, at my core, I do believe you need somebody in your life who will have conversations with you that you don't want to have. And I'm sure you do that in your work.
Absolutely.
And they help people do things they don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
Like encourage you to do things you don't really want to do. This is going to be good for you.
Yeah.
But they really help you become something you did not think you could become. Now, right now in the United States, there's anywhere between 500 and 800,000 people in the United States that call themselves a coach.
Yep.
Okay, now what that has really done is it's commoditized our industry.
Totally.
So I typed into ChatGPT one day, like, what book should Coach Burt write next? Outside of Screw Your Why, because that's the one I'm about to finish. And it said, The Crisis of Coaching. And I think what happens when there's commoditization, that means there's too many people competing for the same space. And what it does is it lowers the value we put people in buckets like, oh, she's a therapist and he's a coach, and there's nothing unique about that. And what we really have to do is move towards specialization, right? You're really a specialist, and you're a specialist, and I'm a specialist. And we have very specialized skill sets like Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
It's like special forces. And we are deployed to solve very specific problems for people. And the more we can specialize, the more in demand we are, right? So my specialization is coaching, but it's really the activation of that prey drive. And you could have all kinds of money and lose that prey drive, okay? Life can knock the shit out of you. And it is really helping people get a seat at a much bigger table in life. That's the mission that I'm on right now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it sounds too like you're offering that people specialize in something and not try to be everything for everyone, right? Like don't find your why. Screw
find your why. Find your skill.
But
find your skill. Then find your problem.
Yes, exactly. Amazing. So where can people find you and follow you and what are you up to next?
Great. Go to coachburt.com. Real simple. B-U-R-T. coachburt.com. You can go to thegreatnessfactory.com. You can come and tour the Greatness Factory if you're in Nashville. You really should see it. Awesome. We'll be happy to let you come and sit down on it as a day pass. Come and be around it. It is contagious, right? It's an infectious enthusiasm there. So I do think if anybody wants to see that, they really should come and see the Greatness Factory.
Yeah, incredible. Well, thank you so much. Anything from you, Molly, before we wrap? Or
I think one thing that I do want to ask you, because I feel like I've noticed this so much in being around different entrepreneurs or business owners or business people. Why do you feel like people who were either athletes or just involved in sports a lot growing up make such successful entrepreneurs or business people? What is that, defining factor that sets those people apart and, allows them to succeed in that world, but also in the business world?
I think they have to be in a team environment. They have to show up and fight through their feelings. They have to perform for other people. They're in an interdependent reality, right? My daughter just won a national championship in cheerleading. And of course I wanted her to be a basketball player because I was a basketball coach, and she told me I want you to be a cheerleader, and I said, okay, fine. As long as you got to show up, as long as you got other people to depend on you, as long as you got a coach pushing you. And they took it all the way to the national championship, okay, to be the best in the United States. And I'm sitting there as a dad watching this, and it was so nerve-wracking for me because I'm like, I can't watch, guys. And it's like to see her win that, there's a lot of grit and resilience. A lot of those 5 habits we talk about. So when she gets older, if she has those things, she'll be more employable. She'll probably have a lot more better attitude. I mean, I just think that's going to prepare her much better if she didn't have that. It's not to say they got to play sports. They can be part of clubs. They can be part of other things. But I do think they need to be part of something that battle tests them.
Yeah, and learning to lose too, right?
Learning to lose.
Be okay with losing and recognizing there's an opportunity to learn and move forward. Yeah.
That's right.
The communication factor too.
Totally.
All of it. All of that prepares you and conditions you to have a readiness to tackle the world that you may not get if you didn't get in athletics or something like that. Yeah.
No, that's
good question.
Great. Thank you so much.
You guys are great. Thank you for your preparation. Very few people are as prepared as you, and I do a lot of these. So thank you for doing your homework, and congratulations on you guys' success.
Thank you.
Honored to be here with you.
Much.
Thank you.
Thank you.